What's a random science fact that you know? It's impossible to flatten every hair on a hairy ball. https://n.wikipedia.org/wiki/hairy_ball_theorem. I thought that link was going to be a lot more NSFW. The infinite alternating sum 1 plus 1/3 1/4 plus 1/5 1/6 plus can add up to any number you want if you rearrange the order of the terms. Op asked for science, not magic. Diamonds aren't forever. In fact, they are dust at 500 degrees in your oven for a few hours. Diamonds aren't pressure/temperature stable at the surface. If you heat them without also applying incredible pressure, they become CO2 and a little pile of carbon. Need to test this one out. Let me get out my mum's solitaire. BRB. Time is slightly slower between higher altitudes and lower altitudes, to infinitesimal fractions of a second. The designers of the GPS satellites had to compensate for this, since the entire system is built around ridiculously precise timekeeping. Isn't that the weirdest shit? Hey, Bob, where are you? I don't know, Jim. Let me just ask 3 satellites what time it is. Most mammals have penis bones, baculum. Humans are one of the few exceptions. Some biblical scholars believe Adam's rib being given to Eve was euphemism for the baculum, as even back in the day people noticed that everything else has a bone there but we don't. Back in the days of walking around in sandals and tunics touching animal wangs to see if they had bones. When you take a shot of alcohol, it actually activates the receptors in your body to indicate your body is on fire/exposed to heat, which is why alcohol burns on the way down. This is less of a science fact and more of an alcoholic fact. Is that why it tastes terrible as well? The biggest mountain in our solar system is no longer Mount Olympus on Mars but Rhea Silvia Central Peak, which is a mountain/volcano in an impact crater on an asteroid called Vesta. I was pretty shocked on how it is. I'm really curious, is Rhea Silvia Central Peak on Mars or another planet? Time slows down if you move fast enough. When you're so cool, even time slows for you. The enormous pressures in the depths of the ocean have nothing to do with how wide the ocean is. It is simply depth. In other words, you can manufacture a steel straw, the width of a drinking straw, make it 1 mile long, then fill the straw with water to the top. You will have 2,285 pounds of pressure at the bottom of that straw. I did this yesterday and can confirm. Crocodilians are more closely related to birds than they are to other reptiles. The Earth makes a full rotation in about 23 hours and 56 minutes, not 24 hours. But during that rotation, it's also revolved 1/365th of the way around the Sun, so it takes about another 4 minutes of spinning before every individual point on Earth gets back to the same, approximate, angle it was at 24 hours ago relative to the Sun. Approximate because there's also axial tilt which causes seasons. Added to this, every year that is divisible by 100 but not by 400 will not have a leap day. The current rules are not perfect, and if by some miracle we are still on Earth and using the same calendar, we'd have to add an additional rule that years divisible by 4,000 will not be leap years to fix this super small error. Chlorine trifluoride burns literally everything greater than it is, of course, extremely toxic, but that's the least of the problem. It is hypergolic with every known fuel, and so rapidly hypergolic that no ignition delay has ever been measured. It is also hypergolic with such things as cloth, wood, and test engineers, not to mention asbestos, sand, and water with which it reacts explosively. It can be kept in some of the ordinary structural metals, steel, copper, aluminium, etc. because of the formation of a thin film of insoluble metal fluoride that protects the bulk of the metal, just as the invisible coat of oxide on aluminium keeps it from burning up in the atmosphere. If, however, this coat is melted or scrubbed off, and has no chance to reform, the operator is confronted with the problem of coping with a metal fluorine fire. For dealing with this situation, I have always recommended a good pair of running shoes. John Drury Clark, Ignition. Emphasis myonid burns asbestos, the carcinogen used so damn much because it was so fire retardant. Edit, r/award speech edits. Guess we found out that phosphex is not in fact fictional. Koalas have smooth brains and thick skulls that function as helmets cause they fall off trees a lot. Why aren't they extinct yet? Fires last year tried. If aluminium is exposed to gallium, it undergoes a very strange chemical reaction that gives the aluminium the strength and texture of thick wet paper. There is a species of bees in South America that produces milk instead of honey. They don't form hives and usually live in monogamous pairs all their life. They are called boobies. Greater than boobies, you got me. This was the first one I googled because I'm fascinated with bees. Then I got the joke. I love bees and I feel mocked now. Pluto is a planet. Fight me. I have to ask then, is Eris, Sears, or Makemake a planet? The average kangaroo can jump higher than the average house. I'll lay another science fact down as well. The average house can't jump. -40 degrees is the same whether it's Celsius or Fahrenheit. If you bleed more than 100 milliliters per minute on the International Space Station, they write you off and say any medical supplies spent on you is a waste. So are you basically dead to them? Female ducks evolved to have threaded vaginas because male ducks are considerably rapey. So male ducks evolved to have corkscrew-shaped penises so they can carry on fucking. Dirty bastards. I used to work at a tourist attraction next to a river. I would have to sit at the entrance to a tiny museum and greet guests or answer their questions about the local history. I also got a front row seat to ducks raping each other every day. I think I have PTSD from 2 years of daily raping. Tourists would stand around me and say, "Oh wow, look at those ducks fighting." I would sit there wide-eyed, slowly nodding, never blinking, wishing I was dead. Several years ago I took my Girl Scout troop to Disneyland. We witnessed a duck gang rape on the rivers of America. My girls were teenagers so it wasn't as awkward as it could have been, but still plenty awkward. Mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. Damn it, I was too late, you beat me to it. A pig's orgasm lasts 30 minutes. Your wife is a luck lady. Such a classic. Wombats shit in squares. Sloths literally shit pillars. I think I'm a sloth. Tyrannosaurus was closer in time to humans than to Stegosaurus. That explains why my arms are so short. Haha, same. When I sit on a chair, I never know what to do with my arms. If I put them on my legs near my hips, I end up slouching because I can't sit straight _ put my hands on my thighs. So I cross my arms and then people say I look defensive. The calcium in your bones, the iron in your blood, just about everything in you other than hydrogen was fused together in a massive star that exploded. And now you, a clump of these atoms, is contemplating this fact. I'm not a clump, you're a clump. You're closer to space than you are to anything more than about an hour's drive away. Seattle is closer to space than to the Pacific Ocean. If you ever get a cut and it won't seem to stop bleeding, chances are you're low on vitamin K, as it's the one that helps your blood clot. Vitamin K can be found in most vegetables, especially leafy greens. Which is why people on warfarin, and certain other anticoagulants need to be mindful of their greens intake. Ideally, they should eat them only in moderation and aim for the same amount every day to keep their warfarin levels stable. The foreskin contains 1/3 of the sensory nerves on the penis and is the most sensitive and erogenous part of the penis by far. Just another reason I'm pretty upset I was circumcised. Severe diabetic neuropathy in the feet causes a walking gait similar to people with leprosy. Normally you change your gait throughout the day from longer to shorter strides, and alter your foot position as they get itchy or tired. Since diabetic neuropathy damages both sensation and position sense, diabetics do not change their gait to alleviate pain, can develop a slapping gait, so they can feel the ground, and are susceptible to falls. They develop Charcot joint as a result of repeated injury, destruction of ankle joint, can have rock-bottom feet, toe deformities, and of course, diabetic foot ulcers. Interestingly, both diabetics and lepers can develop an indifferent attitude toward the significant foot injuries, even when amputation is threatened. It doesn't hurt, what's the big deal? A lot of research regarding diabetic neuropathy was done in Louisiana using armadillos which can carry leprosy. BTW leprosy also attacks nerves, usually in the coolest body areas, nose, elbows, hands, feet. Fun fact, people with leprosy lose their eyebrows. Source, I'm a doc and yes, I've seen leprosy in a patient. I had a diabetic emergency and was hospitalized a few months back. I had pancreatitis and a blood sugar level of 2,100. I checked the Guinness Book of World Records and the highest ever was 2,500 something, so I almost earned my place in history. Yes, that's right, 2,100. Ever since then, when I walk, the front of my feet sort of slap down while I'm walking. I'm wondering if I did some damage? Probably. That had to hurt like hell. Squirrels can survive falling from terminal velocity. I learned this after witnessing a squirrel hit the ground after a presumably long fall. It made a loud smack as it hit the ground, scared the crap out of me and the dog, then scampered away, up another tree like nothing happened.